Did you know if you drop a like and subscribe in the next 5 seconds, nothing will happen but it will put a giant smile on my face? Fortnite Chapter 3 Season 1 is rapidly approaching its end as we're already 70% way through this season, with there only one more update to go, being version 19.40 as data miners have discovered, and despite the fact we've only just seen 19.30, which has even confirmed by the map changes that are set to be upcoming that were implemented into the game's coding, we're not only going to be seeing a live event, but then it's going to be going straight into downtime, and the next we're going to be seeing a fortnight after that will be the Chapter 3 Season 2 trailer. I figured in today's video we'd not only touch base on the characters that are going to be a forefront of the storyline for Season 2, but the details of the Season 2 trailer after the live event happens and how this is going to occur. And without me spoiling too much, all I'm going to say is 19.40 might be the last update, but it's definitely going to be the most mind-blowing of this entire season. So do yourself a favour today, sit back, relax with your favourite snacks to stick around and watch the full video to get all of this information. And whilst you're doing that, speaking of favours, one you can do me, considering this is 100% free to do, is enter code FM1 inside the Fortnite item shop. By entering code FM1, you're not only going to be putting a giant smile on my face, but also potentially cheering up my pug Gus after discovering and being kind of sad about the fact he looks like a baby Columbo. He also knows that 70% of you watching right now aren't subscribed, and speaking of subscribing, we're getting incredibly close to 2.4 million subscribers, so if everybody hits the big red button right now, we'd be there in no time. And of course, don't forget this benefits you too, as I gift different subscribers every single day here on this channel, which of course in the near future will be tons of the Chapter 3 Season 2 Battle Pass. But if you want to receive a gift now or in the future, make sure you're subscribing to the channel with all notifications turned on, and then comment your Epic Games ID down below and let me know what you'd like to receive, so perhaps in the very next video you could be gifted in front of hundreds of thousands of eyes to see. But with that said, now enough messing around, we need to dive into all of these leaks and information regarding not only the live event but then the trailer itself, so make sure of course you don't go anywhere.
Don't go anywhere.
I'm not, I'm sitting on my
Don't
back.
go anywhere.
Okay, so in terms of next season, the first and most important thing everybody needs to know about is when this season's going to end, so they can not only unlock everything before it does, but also because of the fact this could be the date of the live event in itself to end off the season, going straight into downtime, as we've seen not only with things like the Galactus event, going straight into Chapter 2 Season 5's downtime, and then of course the end event in Chapter 2 Season 8 that we've just recently seen as the most recent live event to end off last chapter, going into, well, the Chapter 3 Season 1 downtime. Considering Epic Games rarely extend the seasons too, with this ending on March 19th, and this being a Saturday, from me then confirming with a reliable Fortnite leaker and news outlet over on Twitter, Sheena BR, if there will be a live event, he says everything points toward or indicates that one will be going down, as it does end on this Saturday, being March 19th in itself. The reason I wanted to clear this up is because some people have been speculating, considering there's still not much we know about the live event for definite anyways in terms of a countdown timer or where it's going to appear in game that we typically see, is because of the fact also Epic Games don't always implement live events to then go into their next season. For instance, they could be doing something in the rare circumstance of like what happened in Chapter 2 Season 5 toward the end of that, with the destabilization of the 0 point the entire season as a build-up map change toward the event that then did occur, that we could take part in a limited time mode, being the Zero Crisis finale when we started up Chapter 2 Season 6 for the first time. Considering Epic Games haven't done an event like this at the start of a season since this happened though, the Zero Crisis finale, maybe it didn't perform as well as they liked or get the results they wanted, for instance in terms of like publicity across social media, and with that being another factor as to why a live event most likely is going to be the case, and based off everything we've previously mentioned, let's of course now move on to the live event itself, what's happening in game right now and how the storyline is progressing, ultimately well being the basis of this event itself. In case you've been living under a rock, of course the last live event was not only a cinematic form but a really good one of that, but beforehand was interactive, where we could perhaps fend off all of the fiends and also the caretakers. And speaking more specifically about the cinematic, of course this revealed then, well, Dr. Sloan's plans or the imagined order in the war or feud between the Seven, with the Foundation bursting in and saving Agent John Jones from his fate. And as you guys know, the several map changes that have been occurring, whether it's been the Seven's rockets launching frequently and us knowing about this considering the scientist has been leaving us voice recordings in the season quest throughout progressively completing them, or the IO drilling sites appearing around the map more so as time passed, revealing even this devoured POI or landmark, and also now a brand new named location like the Grotto from Chapter 2 Season 2, being Covert Cavern, which more specifically interesting about this is manned by Gunner as a mythic boss, so if he's on the island right now being locked in the same room as the Foundation pressed this door shut, this kind of implies that Dr. Sloan will be making a future appearance, but we just don't know where she is on the island currently, or even underneath the island currently, as things are starting to happen perhaps at her hands. Of course this season we've received many environmental updates, such as not only it starting out with Christmas tree lights around bushes, and the whole map, or most of it anyway, is nearly covered in snow, but with that snow melting now to a point where it's only staying on a certain sector of the map, with the reveal of the brand new wildlife being clombos on the island as well, with the clombo berries that we can feed them as a part of the scenery. And let's not, of course, not only forget about Tilted Towers being the most popular Fortnite location of all time returning, but the new addition of extreme weather conditions coming into Fortnite. Speaking of these extreme weather conditions, despite us seeing them for the first time this chapter, initially being just tornadoes and lightning, it looks like now we're seeing earthquakes around the island as players have managed to spot, and data miners have been able to determine will be occurring more so toward the end of the season in the 19.30 update when downtime was occurring. Despite the extreme weather conditions being random per game, meaning they have no contribution usually to the storyline, such as the hurricanes or tornadoes or lightning that goes on around the map, believe it or not, with these extreme weather conditions of earthquakes, it seems they're not only going to be occurring randomly throughout each game that we're in to change up gameplay flow and even just how the game plays as a whole, but as you can see, what data miners have been able to determine and find, there's certain sequences for where ones are definitely going to be occurring and actually causing permanent map changes. More specifically, or more interesting should I say, is what's been found for the future fate of this particular building on the outskirts of Tilted Towers. As you can see, Fortori tweeted out about the fact that this soon is going to be a giant crater in the ground, perhaps being an entrance or gateway to what was discovered in 19.20 with the reveal of Tilted Towers, the Catus Cave, when we saw the Devoured landmark for the first time, being perhaps a brand new name location. Whether it's named on the map or not, or just a landmark that we can visit, kind of like this Devoured location on the outskirts of Tilted, we know either way it's going to be a completely huge cave system, considering the fact they've not only been able to find that there is this Catus Cave in the coding, but distant roars of another Catus or Devourer monster, implying that their habitat of these giant monsters is further underneath the island itself. And how this ties in between the feud of the Imagined Order and the Seven, of course, is because, well, I believe the earthquakes are occurring at the hands of the Io from not only drilling around the map, but actually trying to reach this Catus Cave in itself to perhaps tame one of the monsters to then oppose the Seven, and perhaps even destroy everything they've already built or are working on in terms of taking over the island or overthrowing the Imagined Order. Either way, it's safe to say in Covert Cavern, this thing directly in the middle, it's not just a platform where the water meets. As you can see, Fortori's managed to determine that this is just the head of a big giant drill, so it looks like whatever they're trying to achieve, more specifically, they're going down into the center of the island, or perhaps the bridge area of where the 0 point is contained between the Chapter 2 and Chapter 3 island before it flipped over. With that said, with that covering the storyline aspects or kind of motive of the Imagined Order to try and overthrow the Seven, of course the Seven aren't stupid and are already trying to take countermeasures to make sure this doesn't happen. For those that don't know, the members of the Seven that we currently know of, 4 of which have been fully revealed anyways, are the Foundation, the Scientist, Paradigm, and also the Visitor. The Foundation, more specifically, for those that don't know, and yes again have been living under a rock, no pun intended considering it is the rock underneath the mask, is the leader of the Seven, and despite us not knowing the identity physically in-game anyways already of the next 3 members, we do know the names of them according to the code names of these statues at the Sanctuary representing each individual member, being the Origin and then 2 of them being the sisters that the Foundation mentioned in the Chapter 2 Season 6 trailer for the first time. And despite them not being in the game's files as of now, from taking a look at these surveys that Epic Games have been publishing, as you can see at the bottom there's 3 characters, one with a selectable style, that people believe to be these last members of the Seven, the Origin having the selectable style, and then the 2 sisters looking very similar. The Origin, the name in itself and how the character looks, not only gives me vibes that he ranks higher than the Foundation within the Seven, this faction itself, but to further solidify this theory from taking a closer look and comparing what he's wearing to the Cube Queen, as you can see there's so many similarities of what you're seeing on screen right now. Of course, these characters are not only worth mentioning to be involved in the live event and then the trailer, perhaps even just this season, but even if they don't appear, something crazy is going to be happening with the Seven. As you guys may have heard already in the voice recordings for completing several season quests or being up to date with them, the Paradigm is going to be returning, that fled during the original Final Showdown after slaying the original Devourer monster, and of course this was when she was known as the Singularity, her another snapshot form, who left the 0 point exposed above the vault to destabilize in Chapter 1. And speaking of Chapter 1, this Final Showdown, despite the fact we've got the Devoured POI, which is literally the same monster as we can tell from the hole in the skull where the sword went into, another reference that you guys will have noticed on the outskirt ocean is the Mecha Team Leader arm that was ripped off by this original Devourer, now in our Chapter 3 island waters offshore, with us also having a 7 workshop based location, which I believe will be in this bunker underneath the mighty monument. It's pretty safe to say both factions want something giant on their side to perhaps overthrow the other or use in battle, and then this battle perhaps is either going to be the Final Showdown v2 or called something else, involving these 2 giant things on the side of the Imagined Order and also the Seven. Of course, the importance of this being, well, it was used in Chapter 1A volcano that that was inactive as pressure plant to then create said robot. So if the same manufacturing process of a giant robot were to happen in the Chapter 3 dimension, of course this collaboration would need to be wiped out, meaning next season already started. It's safe to say, however, Epic Games have a ton of tricks up their sleeve, and believe it or not, we don't know all the details as to what the return of Paradigm is going to entail, or how it's going to wash with the Seven, considering the Foundation is still annoyed at her. And with that said, to end off today's video now, I've got you a Season 2 trailer concept of what could be happening in terms of the Paradigm returning if this doesn't already happen before the live event in itself. This was made by a talented creator called Fortnite, who I'll have linked in the video description down below and on the end screen of this video. And before I stop talking and show you guys the clip, if you enjoyed today's video, slap a like in it down below, and make sure of course you're subscribing to the channel with all notifications on too, so that you don't miss any future uploads. But with that said now, you guys have waited long enough, let's roll this trailer.
Start at the top and work your way down. That's it! Come on!